Basically, in men with hypogonadism, low testosterone, and a pre-existing or high-risk cardiovascular disease, testosterone replacement therapy was non-inferior to placebo, meaning it did not increase the risk of major adverse cardiac events. Hey YouTubers, it's Dr. Fenwa Milhouse, board certified urologist, aka your favorite urologist, aka Dr. Down Below, co-founder, co-CEO of Down There Urology in Chicago. And I want to talk about some pretty cool news that happened February 28, 2025. The FDA removed the black box warning on testosterone and made some label changes that are important and that you want to be aware of. So let's get into it. So prior to February 28, 2025, testosterone came with a black box warning due to concerns about increased risk of cardiovascular events like heart attack and stroke. This was based on admittedly conflicting results from mostly retrospective cohort studies, with some of these studies showing an increased risk and some showing a decreased risk. By the way, retrospective means that the data was looked afterwards. These were patient charts that were looked afterwards. It means these weren't patients that were put into a trial and then watched as it went on. Retrospective trials are not as higher quality as more prospective and especially randomized trials, okay? Those randomized prospective trials, especially if it's double-blinded, especially if it's placebo-controlled, are considered the best level of evidence. Now, there were some small randomized trials that had not shown a consistent association with testosterone treatment and cardiovascular risk. Nonetheless, the FDA had this cardiovascular risk box warning. Enter the TRAVERSE trial, testosterone replacement for aging men with severe hypogonadism. I want to pause here. For now, the testosterone is FDA approved for men with low testosterone. It is used off-label for now in the United States and in many parts of the world, except for Australia, in women for things like low libido, okay? Anyway, the TRAVERSE trial focused on men with hypogonadism was a phase 4 randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study, okay? I just told you that the best type of studies are what? Randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled, okay? That means they're comparing it to like a placebo and that everybody is blinded to what the hell they're getting. Men participating don't know if they're getting testosterone or placebo, and the individuals carrying out the research don't know if the patient got placebo or testosterone. No one knows until the data is analyzed, all right? Okay, so the study randomly assigned 5,200 men to transdermal testosterone gel, okay, topical, or placebo gel. And these men were aged 45 to 80. They had pre-existing risk of cardiovascular disease. These were not completely healthy individuals. They had a pre-existing risk of cardiovascular disease. And the goal was to measure the incidence or occurrence of a cardiovascular event, okay, like a stroke or heart attack. And they found that this incidence, the likelihood, the occurrence of a cardiovascular event was the same whether you were in placebo or testosterone. Approximately 7% of the patients in the testosterone arm had a cardiovascular event and 7.3% in the placebo arm. Basically, in men with hypogonadism, low testosterone, and a pre-existing or high-risk cardiovascular disease, testosterone replacement therapy was non-inferior to placebo, meaning it did not increase the risk of major adverse cardiac events. Therefore, let's get rid of this black box warning. And that's what they did. It was this finding that led to the removal of the language from the boxed warning related to the increased risk of adverse cardiovascular outcomes for all testosterone products. This was the highest level of evidence that really was designed for this specific question, and particularly because it included higher risk individuals, didn't show a difference. The study did, however, find a very slightly higher risk of pulmonary embolism. That means a blood clot to the lung. And this occurred in 0.9% of patients who got the testosterone and 0.5% of those who got placebo. The study also found a statistically significant increase in blood pressure with testosterone versus placebo. The change in the average systolic blood pressure, that's the top number, from baseline through 6 months was about 0.3 millimeters of mercury in the testosterone group, and it was negative 1.5 millimeters of mercury in the placebo group. So a small clinical increase in blood pressure, I mean like 0.3 millimeter increase, but a statistically significant increase, okay? There's a difference between statistic and like clinical, all right? There was also noted a higher risk of an abnormal heart rhythm called atrial fibrillation. Again, overwhelmingly, these patients didn't get this, but about 3.5% on the testosterone and 2.4% with placebo. Remember, these are in older individuals or men who have high risk cardiovascular disease in the first place. And lastly, acute kidney injury was also slightly higher, 2.3% in the testosterone arm and 1.5% in the placebo arm. What does all this mean? Well, the FDA has now added more information on the label. They've added some information about an increased blood pressure and the other results related to the TRAVERSE trial. Again, for now, testosterone is technically FDA approved for men with hypogonadism, low testosterone. Maybe one day we'll get an FDA approval for women too. That day has not yet arrived. But overwhelmingly, this is good news. That TRAVERSE trial really put to bed this increased risk of cardiovascular events question, okay? And it is very reassuring to see that the FDA has followed suit in changing the label. Hey, maybe they can change that estrogen label for vaginal estrogen. Maybe y'all can change that. Can we do that next? Can we do that? There are multiple studies that show that vaginal estrogen does not increase the risk of breast cancer and blood clots. Can we do that next? Okay. All right. Let me know what you think. Comment below. I love hearing your guys' comments, so please leave it. Critiques welcome. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe so you can join me, your favorite urologist, Dr. Milhouse, for all things down there right here. Bye.